Hi, I'm Melissa Muir. In this video, I want to introduce you to a new tool to my studio that's finally mounted and ready to use. It's a new rolling mill from Pepetools. And Pepetools has just released these rolling mills. They've made lots of great improvements to them, and I'm excited to show it to you. So let's take a look at these now and some of the differences between the different options that are available. The mill that I've added to my studio is the 189. This is a 130 millimeter flat rolling mill. Now this also comes in a combination mill, which I'll show you in just a moment. But a couple things that I wanted to show you about the mill, and this is going to be the same for all of the mills that are available, regardless if it's the 130 millimeter, the 110, or the 90 millimeter. So all of them are going to have some of the similar features. All of them have this strong molded 4-to-1 gear ratio. That means that every time I turn my handle, well actually, in order to get one revolution on my rollers, I need to turn the handle 4 times. It makes it a little bit easier for you to roll through and not have to apply so much pressure. Another thing is this unibody. This is all one piece, so it's nice and strong. And if you have a minute, check out their video. They actually go out and drop it off of like a shipping crate or a container, and there's no damage whatsoever done to it. So it's kind of nice. Another thing that I really like about this, because you know that I have some other mills here in my studio, but this mill is so much lighter. Some of my other mills that I have here in the studio weigh at least 100 pounds. This one, which is the larger of them, weighs I think maybe 58 pounds. So it's almost half the weight of some of the others that are available out there. The opening goes to about 5 millimeters, which is approximately 8 gauge. That's pretty similar to what you would pour as an ingot if you were to roll your own metal down, but you start off by pouring an ingot first. Now for my studio, like I said, I wanted to have the flat mill. I primarily use my mills. Maybe I'll mill down some of my sheet, but more often than not, I'm using my mill for doing some texturing. Now, how do you bolt down your mill so that it's all ready to go? You actually have a couple of different options. There is just here on the front and the back, there are little notches here that you can bolt into. In addition, you have 4 pegs that you could put in through the base here. So on one side, I have a single bolt, but on the back side, I actually have two bolts. Now what I did was I bought like a 3-inch bolt, and then I secured it underneath with a lock washer, a washer, and a nut. The main thing is that you get your mill secured. Now some mills, I know that I've seen people as they've unpacked their mills, the tendency, or if they want to move it, is to grab this and pick it up and pull it around. You cannot do that, especially with these mills. And you shouldn't do that to any mill anyway. But usually there would be some kind of like a little lock washer. And in this case, we don't have that, which makes it easier for you to kind of pick this up and adjust calibrate your rolls if they needed to be. But what we do have is we've got a securing plate here, which has a couple of marks. And these marks will also help you when it comes time to rolling down or taking and milling your metal. Up here at the top, we have some little dials, which are removable, and this allows you to really get things positioned where they properly need to be. So once you get your mill set to the right depth for what your starting point is, you can set these to 0, and then as you go up or down, you can see clearly your marks, and that will help you to make certain that you get the proper depth of change when you're trying to work with that. So let's check out what the combination mill looks like. Now this is a mill that's going to be going to a friend of mine, but she allowed me to keep it here for a little bit so I could do this video for you. First thing you'll notice, the handle is not installed, and the mill is packed so unbelievably well. So everything is packed nice so that when you get it, there should not be any damage. Like you could probably drop the thing and it would be totally fine with how well this thing is packaged. Another thing that I really like on these mills, where you attach the handle, they have this little keyway that you would then insert. And we have a breakaway point. This is safety point, basically, that if you overextend the pressure on your mill, something is going to get damaged. And what they've done is allowed this little pin here to become the breakaway point so that you don't damage the gears that are inside of your mill. Now, the gears themselves are all solidly ground, they're steel hobbed, so they're not cast or anything like that. So it is something that's going to be very strong and very solid. So you want to make sure, just like any good piece of jewelry, you have a breakaway point in case you mess up and apply too much pressure. And in this case, that's what we have this little pin for, and that can always be replaced if you do happen to do that. But it's better to use your mill properly in the first place so that you don't run into that issue. The handle is actually very easy to install in here, and I don't want to open this all the way up, but there is a hole in here, and over here at the end of where we install the handle is a little screw, and they also provide you with a little Allen wrench. So you just put the handle on, put the screw through, tighten it all up with a little Allen wrench, and you're ready to go, especially once you've got that bolted down. Another thing that you'll notice on this, you'll see that there's a lot of grease, and there's kind of a weird looking thing down here. And this is a paper that's kind of like an oiled paper, but this is definitely a grease. And the reason that they have this grease on here is for shipping purposes. You don't want to have your rollers untreated or kind of unprepared when they go out or if they're being put into storage. So this is just a protective film to be put onto these rolls before they're shipping, and this is for rust prevention. So to get that off, I just take a paper towel, and it's probably going to take you a few paper towels, but I just take a paper towel, just kind of wipe it all off until it's all good and gone. Now again, like I said, you do want to leave some kind of an oil on this just to kind of protect it, and then when you're ready to use it, you can wipe it off, use it, do whatever you need to do, and then you can protect it again with another layer of oil. So now the difference, and this is also 130 millimeters, so both of these mills are the same size. The difference here is that we have a combination mill, and that means that you have a flat area in addition to some grooved rollers. Now, on the one side, we have square rollers, and this goes from 1 millimeter, I believe, all the way up to like 6 millimeters, but it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6, 6.5, or whatever that is. So you do have some different ranges here, which makes it kind of nice if you need to roll down some stock, get it ready to go through a draw plate, anything like that. In addition, you also have 3 half-round rollers, which allows you to create things like ring stock. I use it for doing things like bales, again, rings. So you have a few different options that are available to you there. Again, both the combination and the flat mill come in 130 millimeters wide, 110, and 90 millimeters wide. So you have quite a few options, and the price point you cannot beat. This is a very quality product. I have loved using it here in my studio. But if this is something that you're considering, you might want to look at the Pepetools. This is a newer mill. They've made a lot of really good improvements, and their rollers are hardened to a deeper depth, which allows you to really be able to get that pressure without damaging your mill. Now, you still want to take the same safety precautions anytime you use a mill to protect your rollers. Make sure that you keep these oiled, okay, especially when you're not using them. When you're not using them, make sure that you don't store them with the rolls closed. You want to have a little bit of an opening in there. Then, in addition to that, you also want to maintain that. So every now and then, just go back over it with a light coating of some kind of a lubricant, whether it be a machine oil. I don't like WD-40, but some people do. I also use a product on mine that's called a Bow Shield T9, and that's kind of nice because I'm able to put it onto my mill, and it puts a protective film on it, and when I'm ready to remove that, then I just take my paper towel, wipe it off, and I'm ready to go.